Welcome back to the channels. My name is Thomas Fletcher, and I'm the host of both the LCSW Network and the Military Social Work Network. If you're new to both of my channels, please do me a favor by smashing that like button, by subscribing to the channels, and by sharing this video with your social work colleagues and friends. The purpose of both of these channels is to create a community of hope and support, where social workers can come for relevant news, information, and inspiration. Well, welcome back to Ask a Military Social Worker. So this is part 2 of the series that I started, pretty much giving life planning advice to younger people. Okay, so the demographic that I will be focusing on in this video, in the first part of this series, we focused on people that have just finished high school, right? The 17 to 18-year-olds who just finished high school. In today's video, I'm going to be focusing on a different demographic. This demographic are recent college graduates, right? So during the course of me going on YouTube and watching these different videos, what I love about watching videos on YouTube is you get to see all of humanity. You get to see people from many different walks of life talking about their life circumstances. And as a social worker, I find that fascinating, right? One of the things in social work, that's taught in social work school is person and environment, right? That's a fundamental, learning talking point in social work, persons in their environments, right? So in today's episode, I do want to focus on young people that have recently graduated either from college or even from grad school, but mostly college. We're not going to focus on the people that have, graduated from law school, medical school, things like that, because they're going to be okay. More than likely, they're going to be okay. But I want to focus on the young people that I see on YouTube. I just saw a video yesterday. A young lady, she went out, she made a TikTok, and she was showing her multiple degrees and certificates. And she was talking about how, she's sending out her resumes, and like she talked about one interview where she went on this job interview, and this, the employer wanted to offer her a job in customer service. And she felt that was beneath her because she's got her bachelor's degree. I don't know if she has a master's degree. She was showing like two college degrees and a certificate. So maybe she finished an associate's and a bachelor's. Maybe she finished a bachelor's and a master's. I'm not quite sure. But I want to focus on people like the young lady that I saw in that video. People that are, again, college graduated, and they're struggling to enter the workforce. I would like you to consider joining the military. As someone who has a college graduate, you can join the military as an officer, right? You can, of course, you can join as enlisted, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to use your college degree in the military, you can use it. You can use it to come in as an officer. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. One way is to apply for officer candidate school, right? Another way is through direct commissioning. That's another way. And I'm not going to talk about those because I've talked about officer candidate school and direct commissioning in previous videos. You can go into one of my playlists and find those videos. But again, what I do want to focus in on are the young people that are coming out of college, and they're struggling to find jobs in their field, of study, right? And as I mentioned in the video focusing on the high school grads, if you join the military as a college grad, whether you join as enlisted or as an officer, you won't have to worry about housing costs. You won't have to worry about food, right? You won't have to worry about utilities. Because if you join active duty, you're either going to be living in the barracks, which is basically free housing, Free if you're enlisted, your food will be free. If you're an officer, it's not going to be free, but you will get compensated a little bit more if you come in as an enlisted versus as an officer. And you won't have to worry, again, if you're living on base, you won't have to worry about utilities, right? And just as I mentioned in the previous video, you can do 4 years active duty, and then the remaining 4 years you can go reserve component, or you can go inactive ready reserve, right? And then once you finish the full contract, you're going to be a veteran, and you're going to be eligible for all kind of benefits. One such benefit is if you wanted to go back to higher education and either get a different bachelor degree or get a master or a doctorate, you'd be able to do so with the post 9/11 GI Bill, right? Furthermore, you would also be able to go for that program that I talked about in the previous video called Chapter 31, Vocational Rehabilitation. Okay? And I didn't mention this in the previous video focusing on the high school grads, but service connections. If you get injured in any way during active duty, it doesn't have to be for combat. You could be playing volleyball or basketball and you injure your ankle, or you break your leg. Well, now you got a service connection injury that you sustained while you were on active duty, and after you get out, you can apply for, again, what's called service connection disability compensation income, and you go all the way up to 100%. That's over $3,000 a year, depending on where you live. And depending on when you're looking at this video, I think right now it's actually closer to $4,000 if you're 100% service connected. So that's another benefit that you can apply for after you get out of the military. And the VA, again, you can get your health care, you can get low-cost health care as a veteran. That's another thing I didn't talk about in the previous video. Low-cost healthcare as a veteran. I talked about in the previous video, I talked about, the increased cost of housing, of food, transportation. Didn't talk about healthcare. If you're a civilian, you know that your healthcare premiums continue to rise and your healthcare copays continue to rise. As a veteran, especially as a service-connected veteran, you've got high quality, low cost medical care that you're entitled to. So that's another benefit of joining the military after you finish college, and if you're struggling to enter the workforce with your degree, right? So maybe I'm not necessarily speaking to the college grads that are getting the jobs that they're looking for, the college grads that are in the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Maybe I'm talking more about the liberal art graduates, right? The English majors and the literature majors, and other type of liberal art degrees, the sociology majors, the psychology majors that don't go on to get their doctorate in psychology, right? I was a bachelor. I did a bachelor's in psychology, but I didn't stop with that. I went on to get my master's in social work, right? So I still utilize what I learned in psychology some 35 years ago. I still utilize that learning, as a social worker who works in mental health, both with veterans in the VA as well as a reserve component behavioral health social worker in the military, right? But again, I'm really talking to college graduates that maybe are, you got a liberal arts degree, and maybe you don't want to be a salesperson, right? Maybe sales is not what you want to do, or maybe that's not something you're good at. But you could join the military, right? And you could go into any type of field. You could be trained in any type of field right? Anything that the military needs or anything that you may be interested in, right? So I would really like my college grads to seriously consider, again, if you're struggling to enter the workforce, if you're struggling with housing costs, food costs, transportation, utilities, I would strongly like you to consider a career in the military. And I didn't give my disclaimer as I did in the previous video, but I am not a recruiter. This video is not being sponsored, endorsed, or promoted by the DoD, by the Department of Veterans Affairs, or by any military or governmental agencies. The views and opinions that are stated in this video are mine alone. All right, so I'm going to stop right there, but I want to thank you all for watching this video. For all the social workers and other licensed mental health professionals, thank you for the work that you do every day, for your clients, for your agency, and for the profession. Please continue to support each other and yourselves. Bye for now.